Hello and welcome to an episode of Scenes 4. So I'm out and about today and I've come to the wonderful Chateau Impney estate just outside Droitwich Spa, and I've come to the Coffee and Chromia, which is hosted by Footman James. Nearly 1,000 cars are here today. I'm just going to show you a very small selection of those cars, so let's go for a walk around. So I'll start with a very familiar looking car, and this is my 1999 R170 230 compressor SLK. Now this is the first time I've actually been out to a show in this car, and I was really glad to be back out and about in the SLK. It really is great to see that everyone's included in this event, no matter what age or model your car is, so there really is something for all, no matter what your taste is. And also your four-legged friends are more than welcome to come as well. Now I am British, so I'm going to mention the weather. It was a lovely sunny day to begin with, and it did become overcast and it was a little bit chilly, but I didn't dampen our spirits. I have to admit, this is probably one of the nicest settings for a car show that I've been to. There's also a thing called a garden if you're particularly interested in that as well. Now I do get ever so slightly envious of this car. I get SLK envy when I see this car. It's regular at this show, and that's because of the colour. I love the colour and the colour combination of the inside as well. Mercedes has some really snazzy colours in the late night. I just wish my own SLK was a little bit more colourful. Now onto something a little bit more powerful, and this is owned by a friend of mine called David. He has actually given me a passenger ride in this car. It was during the wet though, so he wasn't able to put his foot down that much, as you can imagine. A lot of power from that V8 going to the rear wheels, and it really is an absolutely stunning example. Now I was meant to be bringing my own R107 SL, however you've probably seen in recent videos that's still having a few running issues, so that's come up with plan B and take the SLK, but there were a few 107s there which looked really smart. There was this lovely red 420 SL, which actually 420 took over from the 380, because I'm a nerd and I know those sort of things, but this was a particularly good example of a late model car, with a particularly snazzy colour combination. Now from an undisputed icon of the SL range to one that's still upcoming, it still lives in the shadow of the 300 SL, whether the Goring or the convertible, and that's the 190 SL, the sort of baby SL, the original SLK if you'd like. And these are very much still underappreciated. The values are going up, and this particular one in the silver and the red looked absolutely stunning. Now talking of cars that were underappreciated, the first generation CLK is still something you can get for absolute bargain price, and for a 4-seat convertible I don't think you can do much better than a CLK. Now I do have a soft spot for late 90s and 2000s AMG, particularly the E-classes, whether it's a 210 or this particular one's a 211 series E-class, and again just such a lovely car and very much a sleeper. Now Mercedes is very much known as being quite a luxurious brand, however this is probably the one exception to that, and of course this is the G-Wagon. This is a 280 GE, so it's got the 2.8 litre 6-cylinder engine and a very snazzy interior. I do like that cloth interior. I think it featured in other models sort of in the 90s as well. I have driven a modern day G63, but I'd love to drive an older one just as a bit of a comparison and just for the experience. I've got a whale tail alert here on this lovely 911, very much period correct colour combination with the gold with the sort of beige interior. Absolutely stunning example. Now I'm not the biggest BMW fan, I must admit, but this is a car always catches my eye. This is an 8 Series, this particular one is an 850 Ci. Very nice colour combination, actually the bright red I didn't think would work on this car, but lovely car. Now on something a little bit more American, and this is the 3rd generation of Corvette, the Stingray. Now you can really see from the looks why it's called the Stingray. Very understated but very powerful at the same time, if that makes sense, and overall just a very, very stylish package. Now from one American icon to another one, and I use a little phrase which you might have seen on my social media, which is I do like a Mustang. I really got a hankering for one of these one day. Whether it be a classic one or probably more of a modern one. I just love the lines at the style on it. Okay, these early on might not necessarily be the best to drive, because they're based on various other parts and the parts for bin. But they just look so good, and this particular one finished in dark green isn't necessarily an obvious choice, but absolutely love it. Now this is a hot rod, and that's about all I know about this car. I'm not really too up on my American cars, and particularly hot rods, which are various parts sort of put together. So I'm just going to say, yeah, I really like the style of this one though. It's got that very rat rod look with the exposed engine, chopped top obviously, and the extremely high bed in the back, which is obviously catering for the wheels and all the underpinnings underneath. Bring back 3 spokes. Now I don't think I've seen too many of these. A Jaguar XFR. Now obviously this has the, I think, 4.2 litre supercharged V8, so lots of power coming from that bonnet, and very subtle little reminders that you are in an R product. Little supercharged badges, little R badges dotted here and there. I quite like on this particular one the colour combination as well. And then we'll just scan around, and you also get to see the little supercharged word actually engraved into the alloys as well. Probably a unique feature, that one. Now I could go into a whole episode talk about bad things from British Leyland. However, I do think these Morris Marina coupes, more the coupes than the saloons of any other version, are actually quite a nice looking car with that rakish back end. Now if I was to buy a British classic, it'd probably be one of these, an MG Midget. This one's a 1275, sort of early 70s one, and again just very, very classic, very traditional styling, but just a lovely little package. I really would love to have a go at one of these. Now I can guarantee with every car show you go to, you're going to see a Mini. However, this one was a little bit more unusual. I don't know what type this is, with this sort of half fixed top, half soft top. But it just really caught my eye, just being something a little bit different. I think this is one thing with me, is you can sort of customise them to any way you like. Now for something very, very small, something very, very big, I stood next to this car and it was still taller than I was. It must be nearly 6 foot tall, this car. Dread to think how many feet long it is, but again, back in the day, this would have been absolute byword in luxury. Now is it Alpine or Alpine? Regardless of how you say it, this particular one was stunning. You don't see many early examples of these, the original Alpines or Alpines, and this particular one just absolutely really caught a lot of people's eye. Of course, I couldn't just feature the old one without missing the new one. I really like these cars. Again, another car I'd like to have a little bit of a drive in, and just looks so nice. Stick this one with the colour combination, with the blue, with the gold wheels. It shouldn't work, but it actually does. Now for something completely different, and again a car you don't see very often. This is basically a road legal concept car. It's the Renault Spider. I don't know what numbers these were sold in, but it was very, very limited. And I really like these actually. They're just so different and so quirky. Almost a sort of beach buggy-esque vibe from this. Now here's a little throwback for me. I actually used to own a car very similar to this one. I used to own a 500C, again with this soft top automatic with the push button transmission. Again the same colour, the two-tone grey, which always attracted a lot of attention. Now one thing I always say with the Baths, I had a lot of good memories of mine, and if you ever get the chance to drive one, please do. They will definitely put a smile on your face. Now, when was the last time you saw an early Fiat Punto, let alone a GT model? Now, this particular one was a Fiat Punto GT. Really caught my eye just for being something different that you don't see very often these days. Now, I know GTE Vauxhalls are particularly collectible these days, but what about this one? An SR, sort of a little bit of a hotted up one. Not quite as legendary as that GTE model. But again, how many of these survive? You don't see many of these sort of generations of Astras anyway, let alone an SR model or a slightly hotted up one like this. Now we'll end on something a little bit controversial, because this Honda Insight caught my eye, and again, you see a few of these when I was growing up dotted around, all a bit of an obscurity almost. But now they're getting to that age where they are almost getting in sort of modern classic status. So what's your thought on these cars? I will move on to a couple of downsides of the event. First of all was the queue. It took about half an hour to get from the entrance round the estates and snake round to actually get to our parking space. Now I do believe this could be sorted with a couple of organisational changes, maybe having a few more entrance points and just having 2 people checking tickets at the end of the entrance. Bearing in mind there's nearly 1,000 cars coming in. You could also do staggered entry times as well, so give people a 15-minute time slot. And you have next batch of people coming in, next 15 minutes and so on and so on. I hope you've enjoyed the little selection, a little walk around that I've done today. Just a few of the cars that I've picked out that I've really enjoyed. Fantastic setting with the chateau in the background as well. As ever, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.